Hello all. I hope you've all had a very good week so far because you know what day it is. You know what time it is. Well, it's actually in the middle of the day here. I'm doing a day video for once. Yes, it's Wrestling Rant. Sundays are the day. And this week, I did mention at the end of my Elimination Chamber video, we've got the subject at the moment, which are always rife in the WWE and rife in the wrestling world. Tag team wrestling and stables. Yeah, there are two things which are going on at the moment. One, which is rising, and one in steep decline, especially in the WWE. And it's, to be honest, a bit annoying because tag team wrestling has been something that the WWE has pioneered with for many, many years. And the one thing I'm wondering is why is it declining so bad? Now, obviously, you can take what Matt Hardy said on his internet blog one day and YouTube videos and say, well, it's because WWE is too fixated on finding the next big thing, the next Stone Cold Steve Austin, the next Rock. They're trying to find the big cash cow. So the minute they stop doing that, they can focus back on tag teams again. And I think that's a good idea. It's a good idea, but it's a pretty shit and lame excuse. Because WWE, TNA, you can name any kind of promotion. They're trying to build someone big, etc. They're doing it all. However, in my honest opinion, tag team wrestling has declined because, basically, to say this correctly without bluntly saying it, not a lot of guys have any talent in wrestling anymore that would work in industry. A lot of wrestlers in the tag team division in FCW are often split as single stars later on. And I'm thinking, I mean, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus worked well together in the Irish Whip Wrestling back in Ireland. So I'm thinking, put guys in there who are actually really good people in a team. I mean, you can put the most ridiculous teams together and you can tell they're not going to. But they just want to create single stars. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the fact that they're trying to make single stars right now, and WWE doesn't really seem to give a shit. But the tag team division needs to be made up of people who can actually do the job. Because Edge and Christian, Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys, Billy and Chuck even, New Age Outlaws, well, that's just Billy and the team. But even members of DX, etc. There used to be a lot of teams. WWE for them. Scotty Hottie and Rikishi, the Radicals, even going back further now, we've got the Basham brothers. They had loads of teams back then. Billy Kidman and Paul London was a team that was put together and had a huge amount of success. Los Guerreros. Anytime Kurt Angle and Benoit were in the ring. Benoit and Rhino. Hassan Benjamin. In the last 5 years, the first early part of the 21st century, the tag team division was absolutely rife. APA, The Brood. I could go on, but there are so many teams that have come and so many that have gone. So many. I mean, nowadays there was one recognisable name, and that turned out to be the Hart Dynasty, who got split up, and neither of them have gone nowhere. Natalia's become Divas champion twice, but apart from that, it's just stupid. Because now who have we got as tag champions? Members of stables, who, to be honest, have okay chemistry, but even outside each other, they're not that good. So they're trying to build too many single stars. The point that the guys in FCW haven't got good enough chemistry inside the ring as a tag team. Therefore means a lot of the tag teams are put together based purely on the fact that they have nothing to do with them. In TNA, Motor City Machine Guns, Beer Money, two fucking epic teams right there. Ring of Honor got the Kings of Wrestling and the Briscoes. These are actually good teams, and you can put different teams together. They would still have fucking epic wrestlers to put in a good match with. Hell, TNA has the Dudley Boys right now, who had to say on the bad side of it all, but they at least are still wrestling good when they were a team. I would even say that the LAX were good, but that didn't last very long, did it? But I just don't understand why WWE doesn't invest their time in the tag titles. It used to mean a lot to even an abstract, put-together team to win a tag team championship. Now, it just doesn't really work, because they're not putting any time into it. They're not giving these guys who are tag teams a chance to prove themselves in the lower divisions of the developmental before coming up there. So, tag team really isn't a decline because of the fact that the WWE doesn't care. I would care if people from stables who aren't even proven in a team could actually be a cohesive unit. I would gladly pay money to see a Mystico Rey Mysterio team shortly before Mysterio retires. I'd kill to see that. I'd even kill to see a tag team where Sin Cara and Alberto Del Rio, or Mystico, whichever one name you want to think of, have a team together. Because Mystico has aerial ability that will definitely outshine Del Rio, and he'll be able to do all that stuff. However, he does lack in the mat wrestling department, which Del Rio has a lot in. Those two are both Mexican. They're both gigantic stars of the Mexican Lucha Libre circuit of the last 15 years, and now they're both under the same company, under the same roof. Think about it. They need to be given a platform. I know Del Rio is being pushed to be the world heavyweight champion at WrestleMania. God, I hope. But if you think about it, they have enough in them to actually be a good tag team. And this, to me, when you look at WWE with all the things, you think Vladimir Kozlov and Santino Marella, some comedy jobbers, are your tag team champions. You split up Crime Time, who are basically one of the only good teams that could get a cheap pop from just about anybody. You split up Legacy, who never got a chance, besides Randy Orton, to actually get a championship, to push that stable. And you see, this is why these two subjects intertwine, because you get a lot of tag teams coming out of stables who are either really successful or aren't really successful. Fuck it! In Evolution, they had a damn good tag team out of Batista and Ric Flair. Won the tag titles twice, for God's sake. And that's the thing where I look at stables nowadays and notice they aren't as necessary as they used to be. Because back when Evolution was around, they were able to have everybody having a title, and then they'd be able to just completely dominate the division, show that the stable has power, and that they would not be able to get crushed by an entity, John Cena, and be able to last longer than at least a year. Because Legacy had this problem, where Rhodes and DiBiase had the tag team titles. They had the titles, they held them for a while. Grouped up with Randy Orton, they immediately lost the titles. And then you know what happened after that. When Orton started going after and getting the WWE Championship, where were these guys? They were nowhere. They were just his lackeys. Don't understand why they weren't tag team champions. Because they needed to show this legacy stable had some bollocks to them, had some power, and was able to show, look, we have the championships. You can't touch us. That's what made Evolution so good. That's what made DX in a way so good, because you had Shawn Michaels with the European and WWE Championship, you had Triple H with the Intercontinental Championship. After a while, when Shawn left, you had the New Age Outlaws, the Tag Team Championships, and Sean Waltman, X-Pac 123 Kid, had the light heavyweight championship, and the hardcore championship probably went around a bit as well. And you see, that is a good stable because everybody has power. The Nexus, they've done the exact same thing as they did with Legacy. They're pushing a leader. They're only pushing a guy, and that is not a good thing. If you've got a stable in wrestling, you do not push the main guy, because that will only make the main guy look good, and the rest of them, you'll think, they don't have anything to offer, do they? They don't have anything to offer at all of any significance. They're going to be future endeavoured the moment they get put out of the stable. Look at Darren Young, for example, in the Nexus. What the fuck's he done since? Going back to FCW? A John Cena lookalike could be put into an interesting angle. I'm putting it out there. And it just doesn't make sense. These stables, the core, they're now split into another stable because they wanted to make the Nexus have CM Punk. But now, the guys like McGillicuddy, Harris, who's no longer in it, Mason Ryan's just a Batista ripoff. These guys have not got credibility to show for it. And it's only they're pushing them forward, which is a very, very bad idea. Just look at it. I bet CM Punk is going to last as leader of Nexus for a while now. And he'll be there, say, around SummerSlam. Bad things happen between him and Otunga. Breaks off into an Otunga feud with him. Mason Ryan probably goes back to FCW to improve his in-ring work, and McGillicuddy goes back to FCW, comes back with his father's name of Hennig, and goes on to some single success. That's probably what's going to happen with the Nexus right now. Look at the guys in the core. What are they going to do? I know, sure, Slater and Gabriel have the tag team championships. That at least puts part of their stable on a bit of a more firmer ground than the current new Nexus is. But seriously, I think they could. Ezekiel Jackson and Barrett are probably the only two guys who are in that stable who are going to win the World Heavyweight Championship between now and next year's WrestleMania. Slater's probably going to win something, God knows what. There's no Cruiserweight Championship for Gabriel to go after, so they probably have some feud over the US title, maybe. I don't know. And it's the thing. These guys have got to win stuff to prove themselves. You can't just push one guy in a stable, because WWE's just for ages now. They've got to understand, and I have to put this out there. If you don't push everybody in a stable, it makes them, the whole stable, look weak. If Barrett got beaten by John Cena, they didn't come out and help him. Why? Simple. You've got to understand. A stable has to be one unit of goodness where they're able to go out there and still all make names for themselves. Orton and Batista got names made for themselves in Evolution. Look at them now. Batista, of course, is retired, but look at what he's done since. Look at what Orton has done since. Doesn't that make sense? That WWE, you've got to look at your stables and say, okay, we're pushing Barrett in a feud with the Big Show and Ezekiel Jackson in a feud with the Big Show. We are pushing Punk in a feud with Randy Orton, and these other guys are just helping that. And then in the core, two guys who have tag team championships who have nothing to go for. That doesn't make anything. That doesn't show me anything. That doesn't show me that they're all going for something. If you want to prove something, get some guy to feud. Say, get Gabriel to feud with Daniel Bryan. That's one right there. It's cross-branded, but in my honest opinion, I want to get rid of this fucking brand extension to make it a lot better. But tag teams are necessary. They're declining because there's no one around and single stars are being made all the time. Stables are necessary in putting people over. That is one thing they are there for. However, to sum up in a few words, like I've said before, if you do not push every single little person in that group, you will not get anything out of that group in the end. Like Legacy, it'll have just been a shit stain to push one guy who has already got a pretty big following behind him. Because Randy Orton, if he wasn't pushed from Legacy, yeah, he wouldn't have been harmed in any way. It harmed Ted DiBiase's career. Because look what happened to him. He's nowhere. He should have beaten Orton at WrestleMania last year. But he didn't. And instead we had to have an Orton victory. Now the stable just crumbled and we had legitimately nothing after that. Cody Rhodes has done something good with his career. At least he's reinvented himself with a new gimmick, which has worked with him. And he's now feuding with Rey Mysterio. Awesome idea, in a way, to give him some push. But then you look at guys like Ted DiBiase, who are just doing nothing. It's worthless, isn't it? And this will give you something to think about. Where will the Nexus go? Where will the Core go? Which one will be more successful, do I think? I think the Nexus, in terms of overall power, in terms of their ability under one guy, is CM Punk. They'll last. But the Core will achieve more. The Core will achieve more and get more guys over. The Nexus, I think, should have stayed as one unit, because the Core is just useless to me. They should have kept it as the Nexus, have Wade take it to SmackDown. Should have been it. So, stables, push everybody, you'll get good things. Tag teams need more of them, need more guys. No single stars. Tyson Kidd is a single star. I could find guys out on the street who could wrestle better than him in a singles match. Without a big guy as a tag team partner, that guy is useless. And where's David Hart Smith gone? Yeah, you see my point. And sorry if I have rambled on a lot, but I am pretty tired. And not to mention, I have just literally had a giant roast dinner at my grandparents' house. So, hey. Right, that is the end of my video today. I am really sorry if they did rumble in together. But then again, tag teams and stables are easy to mix in. And I will see you all next week for my ripping apart of the IWC special 15 Minutes of Fame video. And this will be a good one. This will be a good one because, as you know, I'm going to look into a lot of things that I think the IWC have a small problem with. One of them being, are they damaging wrestling? Is the internet ruining the sport? And I have a small little announcement that might shock you, it might not. Depends really on honestly how you feel. Because I am part of the internet wrestling community based on these videos alone. So I'm technically going to be reviewing myself. And then after that, I have a starting of my WrestleMania little series where I look on being pushed too early when what can it be learned from, and if big stadiums are necessary for WrestleMania hosting. So I'll see you all next week, and I hope you all have a good week ahead of you. Cheers.